Heard this beat in my dream.
Welcome back to another episode of Shooting the Shit. On today's episode, we're focusing on minimalism.
Yeah, we're gonna be headed down the lakefront over by the home bridge, where I'm gonna be trying to get some simple shots that kind of deal with singling out a certain subject, or shots with not a lot of color going on.
So stay tuned, we got a great show coming at you. No, that isn't the point thing. When did you do that?
I don't know.
The shooter.
Yeah, go ahead. We could both do it at the same. We could look at each other and go.
Ding ding.
What's up, y'all? We're back with another episode of Shooting the Shit. So today we're down in the Hone Bridge area. We're focusing on minimalism. So the reason we came down here is a lot of dead white space if you look out onto the lake. I'm hoping to catch some lonely fishermen, some bikers, some runners. We might shoot the bridge, we might shoot the lighthouse. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
We have to get into it and see what we do.
Check it out.
When I'm shooting for minimalism, I like to really go to an area. There's two different ways I like to do it. The first one is just complete white space or black space, just something that's a consistent color, like that's gonna be in the background. I always try to focus on one subject. You know, you can, obviously it works with more than that, but for me, I like to just kind of focus on one subject. The other way you can do it is, like say you're shooting at a building or something, I like to look for like consistent patterns in a building. So let's say I'm shooting at a building, I like all the windows, everything to be, you know, the same pattern, the same architecture, just to have that one, you know, that consistent design, I guess you could
Definitely.
say. I think those shots look the best. I feel like that's kind of what minimalism is. It's either a lot of dead space or one big pattern that's gonna be kind of in your background.
Yeah, so what do we kind of want to check out first here? We got some stuff going on both sides of us here.
Oh yeah, we
got the lighthouse
a
there.
lot of fishermen. So what I'm gonna try and do
birds.
now, yeah, flying rats is what we got. Hope we don't get shit on. So the first shot I'm gonna try and get are these fishermen behind me. I'm gonna try and just single them out and zoom in on them. That's why I'm using that 7300 lens again. So I'm gonna try and catch them casting. I'm just trying to catch what they're doing. I'm not trying to pose them, do anything special. I don't even want them to know I'm shooting at them. So let's go, let's see what we get. I also like, so this first guy, he's sitting in the corner and he's got that building out over the lake.
Lighthouse or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever you call it. So I'm gonna try and get that. Oh, he's got a friend coming up on him. So right now I'm gonna try and just get that lighthouse, see how that looks.
Heard this beat in my dream.
With that shot, as you can see, another thing I like to do with minimalism is use my rule of thirds. I'm just a big fan of not centering everything. It's
Yeah, I agree.
overdone.
I agree.
Rule of thirds really kind of adds to a photo. So when I shot that lighthouse, I try to put it in the lower corner. I don't want a ton of the lake in it, so I kind of point the camera up a little bit so we get more of that sky in there. Also, the other thing I'm doing right now is I have my aperture up a little bit. Right now it's at 7.1, and that's for a couple reasons. One is because it's so f***ing bright outside. The other reason I'm doing that is, I don't know, with minimalism, it's nice to have everything in focus. And as we've already learned, when you bump that aperture up, you're gonna get more stuff in focus. You're gonna have a more shallow depth of field. So now I'm trying to get this fisherman. Let's go get this other fisherman. So he's rigging up his pole right now, so I'm definitely gonna try and catch him casting. Again, just to go over settings, right now my ISO is at 50. My shutter speed's at 1/500th of a second. All right, so he's about to cast. So I'm setting up my shot right now, getting ready for him to cast. Here we go. Oh, that was a beaut. That was a beaut. We got him, Jeff. We got him. I'm gonna just shoot this lighthouse. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot like the top like quarter of it. Again, I'm gonna off center it a little bit. So it's basically just gonna be this lighthouse with the sky in the background. Got some of the seagulls in here, but that's gonna be something I probably remove once I get into post.
So this is kind of like, you know, a popular spot in Milwaukee to shoot
Yeah.
at. How many times have you kind of come down here and shot?
I mean,
Is it pretty often? And
I haven't been down here in a while, but like over the years, yeah, I've definitely come down here a lot to shoot. It's a great place to ride your bike. Over there, you can kind of get through to that little park area. You got Summerfest right there, the bridge. It's also a really cool spot if you ever get a chance to get on a boat and kind of go up and down the river. You really can you get a whole, like just a completely different view of the city. Another thing I like to do with minimalism is I kind of see, like sometimes if I'm shooting a building and I'm just trying to get the top of it or trying to get that sky in the back, I kind of see it as like a piece of a puzzle almost.
yeah.
So it's like, so right now I'm gonna shoot this Hone Bridge, but I'm not gonna shoot the entire bridge like everyone always does. I'm gonna literally just single out a tiny portion of it and just try and get that. To me, I see it as like, obviously everyone in Milwaukee knows this bridge, but if you're shooting a building or you're in a different city or whatever, you're shooting something that's not that distinct, you just shoot part of it and it's almost just like, you know,
Yeah.
one piece to a puzzle of that entire building.
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of look at it.
One thing that I like to do with minimalism is when I'm shooting it, wouldn't really work on this bridge that much, but I like to, like, when I go into post, I like to kind of straighten all my lines and make sure everything kind of has a consistent flow, so your lines are all straight.
Yep.
So, I mean, do you do that as well?
Yeah, I do. That's something I kind of always do. It's just something that bothers me when I see it.
Yeah,
A personal thing. Sometimes it works.
If you're going for that look,
Yeah,
it's
I either do it completely straight or I do it, you know, I cock my camera so much that you know, like that's the look I'm going for.
Yeah.
Something that's not, you know, straight up and down. So I'm really liking these shots. Try and get this truck. Woo!
Got the truck?
Got the truck, baby. These fishermen definitely know I'm shooting them right now. They keep looking back at me, but I don't give a Oh, we got another nice cast. So I'm glad you brought that up about straightening your lines, because at least when I do it, I'm usually pointing the camera up at a building or something else. So with minimalism, it is nice to be able to go back and make all those lines parallel and perpendicular.
Yeah, I think it really makes the photo too. Like, especially you want it to be as simple as you can, and you want to have kind of like the least distractions you can. And I feel like a lot of times when I'm watching that stuff or looking at photos like that, that's the first thing that will kind of catch, you know, if they're not straight, it kind of throws me off. I'm like, why aren't they? Because it just makes it so much easier on your eye.
Exactly. So right now I'm shooting Rockwell. I'm literally just trying to get like pretty much from the clock up, and it's just right in the lower corner. All these fucking seagulls just ruining my photo. They could make the photo too, who knows? Who knows? So I got attacked by seagulls once.
What happened?
We were on a boat going up the river, and we must have passed a nest or something. We had my buddy's dog on the boat, and all of a sudden they just start dive bombing us, like getting like literally within a foot of us. I look like the biggest ever. I hit the floor. One of us had a paddle trying to hit him. It was awful. It was the worst experience. I hate birds. They're just, seagulls are, there's more and more of them every year. They just come down, they ruin the city, they where I've been before. Shout out to Professor, he got on one time too.
Speaking of seagulls, it's kind of funny, like, if any of you guys fly drones out there or have flown drones, if you haven't noticed and you're around seagulls, especially in like the city or lakefront setting, they do not like the drone, and it kind of, you know, scares the shit out of me. Circling, you're like, I gotta get this thing down.
Yeah. I'm really curious. I've never seen a seagull hit a drone. I wonder if they just do that just to kind of scare the drone, or if they're actually at some point going to try and.
Yeah. I hope they don't, because it's a lot of money up there.
All right. I think I kind of got what we wanted. You know, I was happy there was fishermen out. Happy it's a beautiful day. I think we're good to go. Let's go back and edit these motherfuckers.
All right, we just got back. Jeremy picked out a photo he liked of the Hone Bridge, and he's about to dive in and edit this thing up. Let's go.
All right, I got a lot of great photos while we were down there. For some reason, this one really stuck out to me. Like I said while I was shooting, minimalism to me is kind of like a piece of a puzzle. Sometimes you're just taking little parts of like a big subject, and you're almost making whoever's looking at your photo guess what's going on, or appreciate the simplistic things about it. What I'm gonna do with this photo, I probably won't do a ton of color correction. I'm gonna make it a little more vibrant, but the one thing I'm really gonna do to kind of, I guess, make the bridge stand out a little more is I'm gonna be getting rid of these clouds and these seagulls down here. And to do that, I'm gonna start by taking the spot removal tool, which the shortcut will be Q. And all you have to do with this is you just mouse over on one thing, and I'll just kind of show you what it looks like. And it's just gonna pick up on something else that has a similar, I guess, look or color to the photo, and it's automatically gonna correct that. So as you can see, I just easily got rid of that seagull. And now I'm about to get rid of these clouds.
Yeah, and I feel like the clone tool works really well, especially with like minimal type shots, because you know there is so much of the same kind of colors and textures going on in a photo. Sometimes when you do this in a more detailed photo, it'll be picking up the wrong stuff, and you got to be moving it. But
Yep. Let's see, one more little spot down there. And I usually, after I'm done doing these, if you hit A, it's gonna kind of reverse the colors and just kind of show you exactly where and if there are any spots. And this is an easy photo to do with because the background and where I was cleaning it up is all just one color. So you can see I missed something there and a little spot there. So let's take a look, and that looks good. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna straighten out my verticals. And the reason I have to do that is because I was not eye level with the bridge, I was shooting upwards. And that's why this beam doesn't look completely perpendicular with the bridge. So to do that, I'm gonna come all the way down here, transform section, and I'm gonna just see if this auto will do it for me. Yeah, and it did.
yeah, a lot of times with like photos that have a lot of these straight lines, using the auto works perfect.
Yep. And to me, you know, a lot of the minimalism photos I see, I like to think a lot of them that have color in them are like a little more saturated, and that's how I see it, and also a little softer. So I'm gonna start by just turning that contrast up a tiny bit. My highlights, I mean, everything is really about where I want it. I'm gonna take these blacks down a little bit. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna mess with the shadow a little bit to kind of take away some of those lines under the bridge. Then I'm gonna come down here to saturation. I'm gonna bump that orange up a little bit to make that pop against that blue sky. And let's see what happens when I take this blue and turn it up. Yeah, that's about where I want it. And now I'm just gonna come down here. I'm gonna go down to noise reduction just to soften this up a tiny bit. It's not gonna make a big difference, but as you can see, kind of like right around here, it did soften it up a little bit.
So what does that noise reduction kind of do?
I mean, if you have a grainy photo, that noise reduction is going to help reduce that grain a little bit. It's also going to take the photo and make it softer. So a lot of the times when you see, you know, some of these professional model photos where they're like, you know, just completely over photoshopped, that's what they're doing is, you know, yeah, they're using other tools to do it mostly, but it's kind of that same effect where it gives it a little softer, it gives your photo a little softer.
Yeah, and if you push it too far, sometimes it almost takes all the detail out and it almost makes it look like a drawing or a cartoon.
Yep,
So
and
you
that's
gotta be
something,
careful.
yeah, and that's something I don't use a ton unless, you know, I really need to. What I was trying to achieve here was to kind of give this more of like a pastel, like painting feel, you know? And I think it definitely works for the photo. So I'm just gonna mess around with the exposure a little bit, see if I got it where I want it. That looks good right about there. Let's see what happens when I turn this up a little bit. See, now that really makes it pop a little more. I'm just gonna bump that up a tiny bit. And yeah, honestly, like I said, coming into this photo, I really liked it, you know, from the beginning. So I think I'm about good with this photo. Like I said, I really liked it from the beginning. There wasn't a lot to do aside from, you know, a tiny bit of color correction, brightening it up a little bit, and then getting rid of the clouds and that bird. But As I like sit back and look at it, this is kind of an eyesore. I know it is part of the bridge, but I think I'm gonna take that out. All right, so I'm gonna come back with the spot removal tool. So before I was using the healing brush, and now I switched over to the clone tool. And basically what I'm gonna try and do is just recreate this area right here. So I'm gonna get rid of that. And then, actually, that did it perfectly. That's exactly what I was going for. And just because I'm zoomed in, and sometimes I have OCD, I'm gonna get rid of this little hair, that little hair that's coming off the bridge. Again, did it perfectly. Zoom out, can't tell. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way this photo turned out. Like I said in the beginning, there wasn't a ton I was gonna do to it. This really is what minimalism is to me. Singling out one subject, photographing a portion of a subject, really also kind of screams minimalism as well.